In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Wealth Flow Google Sheet, which is available on Etsy. This is here, shows you what you get when you first download the sheet. It doesn't have any entries in it. I'll zoom out. This is a net worth sheet. There's personal net worth and there's also combined net worth. Those are linked. And you got some options here like to toggle subheadings, toggle these sinking funds at the bottom, and to toggle and select the account owner. Then there's the budget sheet here. I'll get into that in more detail. And under the budget sheet, there's current budget and there is what if budget. There are also options to toggle subheadings or to toggle a mortgage calculator for planning purposes. And finally, there is this cash flow sheet, and this is probably the most powerful sheet in the spreadsheet. So I'm going to get going and show you an example. This example here is for a couple. We'll call them Max and Sam. Max and Sam, you can see here at a high level what their breakdown, how they're doing financially. So they've got their money broken down. They've got some cash, 24%, investments in taxable account. They have a Roth IRA and a pre-tax account. Finally, they have some property. I would say this is a pretty even and good distribution or split of their assets. And for their liabilities, all their liabilities are mostly in long-term debt. Here you can see what their assets are, 463,000. Their liabilities are negative 28,000 roughly, and their combined net worth is 434,000. This chart on the bottom shows their net worth over time, and this gets updated automatically when you use the sheet. Every day it takes your net worth and it plots it. There's also the added benefit that if you want to include some older history, some net worth values from the past, you can populate this and that'll show your previous trend before you started using the sheet. And then you can hide that just as you showed it. One thing I'll mention is the very first time you use the sheet, you want to click begin net worth tracking. So it begins the automatic tracking that it does every day. Now getting into the combined net worth, let me toggle the subheadings so you can see, we saw the percentages in the chart. Here you can see how their assets are broken down and the liabilities. I'm going to toggle the subheadings here again. And once they're toggled, you can see that under cash, they have about 112,000. This is these are Max's accounts. This is Sam's account. And then the yellow are shared accounts. And the way to assign these is you go under toggle account owner. The reason we do it this way, it's first you have a nice visual of whose name is on the account. And when you link a personal net worth, I'll show you how to do that. When you go select link to personal net worth, it becomes blue, but it also shows you all the different assets and liabilities under the personal net worth. So here I'm trying to link something under cash. So I'm going to select cash. I'm going to select Max's checking. There won't be a change here because, well, that was already selected. But what I want to show you is that if you change this value here, right now we're seeing 3,000. If I change that to 5,000, when you go over to the personal net worth, that is where it shows the summary for Max. And under personal net worth, you can see here that value just updated to 5,000 on its own. Let me zoom out here. These charts are unique and to the personal net worth. So these are only tracking the personal net worth. These are completely separate from what you saw under combined net worth. Scrolling down to look at sinking funds, these sinking funds are accounts or funds or money you have that you don't want to include in your net worth calculations because it's money you plan on spending. So for example, this couple, they have a vacation fund. So that's probably an account, either a dedicated account or some banks allow you to have buckets of money within an account. So this could be one of those. And they like to track their chase points. Here they have 90,000 chase points and they're saying each chase point is worth 1 cent. So that's how they have $900 of value. They have a medical fund, a baby fund, and this is a nice way where you can track gift cards, for example. And these goals here that you see, these are you can set as you're using the spreadsheet. When you delete the goal, it goes away. But when you add it again, the progress bar shows up. And you don't have to worry about deleting things because right here, when I deleted that, it's going to come right back. The 9.2 months to goal, that is based on you having in your budget money allocated to those accounts every day. And I'll get into that, those accounts every month, and I'll get into that. Last thing I'll touch on here under personal net worth, and this is kind of global to all the sheets, is here these are fully customizable. So you can add different sections and they come in formatted properly. You can delete the sections. You can add a single subheading. Those are the light gray ones, or you can add 5 subheadings at a time. Now let's go on to budget. So for budget, you have a table here where you input your post-tax income. Expenses are broken down by needs and wants, and then there are savings. Whenever you populate these, you get this bar graph here showing how your money is split up or your budget's being split up. For example, this couple here is actually spending 23% of their take home pay on vehicles. That's including cars, car payments, gas, and insurance. Their home is actually their second most expensive thing in their budget, so they might want to assess that. And up here, you see overall the breakdown of needs, wants, and savings. So they're at 55% for needs, 21.5% for wants, and 23.4% for savings. I mean, you know how you can see how they're choosing to allocate their income, but overall, the way they're splitting their budget, it's very reasonable. Usually, you want to try and aim for 50% of needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings. So they're pretty close there. Now, how do you fill this table out? You would insert however many subheadings you need. You would enter the description, the amount, of the paycheck. And here you would put in the frequency of that paycheck you're putting. So if you're putting in weekly, if that was a weekly paycheck, that's going to be different than if it was bi-weekly. And you want to put in just one pay date, one single date when you received a paycheck from this employer. And that comes into play when we get into cash flow, because it's going to actually develop a payment schedule for you, and it's going to tell you every month when you're going to get paid without having to go and look at your work pay calendar. For categories, you can put in different categories starting from primary income. You got secondary income. If you have a side hustle, if you're already in retirement and you got a pension coming in, there's also investments. Under needs, it's the same concept. You put in your description, your amount, and your frequency. Most of your budget frequencies will be monthly. You will put in also a due date. The due date comes into play when we get into cash flow, and the monthly totals auto populate. As I mentioned before, when don't be worried about deleting things in the sheet. I just deleted both of those cells, and you will see that they both come back. Then there are categories. Well, let's see if this one comes back. Oh, I think you had to delete the headings. Everything will come back. There you go. Under categories, there's a lot of categories you can choose from. I'll briefly scroll through them here, but you don't have to search to find them. You can just enter. So here I can enter home and press enter, and it will show up. It's the same thing with these drop downs. If you're, don't be scared to delete them because they will come back. Just don't delete rows here totally, but to delete cell contents, everything that is meant to keep the sheet working will come back. Then there are wants. They're inputted the same way. And for savings, because anything you're saving should be coming out of and should be going to an account you have, right? So here, if I wanted to save, I would choose either from, if I'm putting something to my personal net worth, combined net worth, which that in there could have some accounts that are linked to my personal net worth, and then there are sinking funds going under combined net worth. Here I'm going to look under Roth IRA, because I want to every month, both Max and Sam want to save towards their Roth IRA. So once I put in Max's Fidelity here, I'll put in the amount, and I'll put in the date I plan to save it. For savings, since that's up to you, I would recommend putting first payday, second payday, or if you receive more than 2 paychecks a month, you can put third or fourth payday, and that comes into play when you do the cash flow. This here is the money left over for the month. It's $10. If you had put in too much, if your budget was not balancing out, you would have a negative value here, and up here you would see expenses exceed income by $110, reduce the deficit. So we will reduce this back to 580, and I want to show you the goals here. So because once we go to combined net worth, because we are saving towards any of these, right? So any of these, there's baby fund, we're saving $750 a month towards. If I scroll down to something where I have a goal, under the baby fund, I have a goal of 10,000. So I still need to save $5,000 to reach my goal. Well, what this does automatically is it looks at how much you're saving actively in your budget, and it'll tell you if you do what you're saying you will do in your budget, you're going to reach this goal in 6.7 months. And just for the sake of showing you this, if you put a really if you were really low on your goal, this does go to red. Okay, so we've covered the budget, most of it. The other drop down in budget, it's a what if budget. This is separate from your monthly budget. This is for you to come in and play around. Say you're thinking about a different doing a different job, or you might be looking at having a kid, buying a house, all sorts of life changes. You can come in here to plan things out. So for Max and Sam's case, Sam's pay actually reduced here by half. She's, instead of getting paid 1,000 biweekly, when they're trying to see what happens if she gets paid half of that by going part-time, and their side hustle also drops from 2,500 to 1,500. That is because Sam, they're planning to have a baby, and they're trying to plan around that, so their income goes down. A lot of their um, expenses are fixed, but some of these, the numbers have been adjusted to work with their new lifestyle, and they actually have $610 left here, so they can either save more or allocate money elsewhere. The mortgage calculator is on the bottom of the screen, and this here is for someone. It works well with the what if planning, because you can come in here and look at the prices of homes. If you're considering buying a home, you can put in the interest rate, the PMI, and a lot of the um, bills you would expect to get a total monthly payment. And you can put these all as zero if you'd like, and put the other bills separately. That is up to you. Last is cash flow. All right, this part's really exciting. So you've done the setup. You set up your net worth and your budget once, and that's kind of it. You go in to update it whenever you'd like. This here is meant to be a place where you come in after your paychecks or more frequently, and you do your planning for the month. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select a spending account. Most people have all their paychecks coming into one checking, like a bank account, and a lot of their expenses are getting paid from the same account, even if that means paying credit cards. So here we're going to choose the shared checking account. And what happens when you choose shared checking is it shows up here in blue, and this will match your shared checking account value and your net worth. So here, either when you're updating your net worth, if you update that value, it will update in your cash flow, and vice versa. If you're playing around in your cash flow and doing your cash flow, you just got paid, you update that, it will update in your net worth. So here, after you've selected your account, you hit merge budget, and I'm going to zoom out so we see what happens. What the spreadsheet is doing is it read your budget, and it went in and populated for the entire month what days you're expected to be paid. So because you said you get paid on a certain day under your current budget, here it knows that in the month of October, it references this is today's date. So it looks at today's date. In the month of October, you will be paid on the 7th. Max will be paid on the 7th and the 21st. Sam will be paid on the 7th and the 21st as well. If they were on opposite pay periods, because these weren't the same here, this would automatically get reflected here. And the way this is meant to work is, as you're doing your planning, you come in, and if you receive that paycheck, you would put in received paycheck. That gets updated here. So it crosses out what your budget is. It shows what you actually paid. And you would just go update what your account value is now. So your account would have gone up by 3,500. So you just open your phone and do a check-in on your account. If you received more than you were budgeting, or less, you just put in that value in actual income, and it gets rid of that checkbox for you. It's still getting tracked. And when you get into expenses, if you have an expense that is past due, so today is the 3rd, these expenses are past due because they were due on the 1st, they will show up in red. But here, if I paid my mortgage for the month and paid my home insurance, I would go check my bank account, and that would have gone down by $2,600. So it would be $7,900. And why am I doing this? First of all, I can see here what I've paid, what I haven't paid for the entire month, where I'm over, where I'm under. Second, I can plan it out. So if I'm starting the month, and this is just an example, these numbers are not exact, but your budget you would make your budget balance. But here, if this couple was starting with 7,900, by the end of the month, they would be left with 3,900, and you set a minimum balance. So if you set that minimum balance as 5,000, you would show as red there. Okay, so if we say we've paid some things here as you're going through the month, as you pay these, and again, you might go over, you might go under. But once you put in your actual amount, it'll get rid of those checkboxes, and it'll calculate what you should be at. So now, if we're at this stage in the month, I come in and I look, and I'm going to be left with 6,300 at the end of the month. So that's well above my minimum balance. So I could put more money in savings or elsewhere. There is a credit card section. That's the last thing I'll touch on here. And this credit card section, similar to what we did for savings, you go select a credit card. So I'm going to go under combined net worth, and I'm going to go under short term. That's the heading or category we put in the credit cards under in liabilities. I'm going to put Max's Chase credit card. And here, once I put that in, it'll update. That's what Max's credit card is in liabilities. And if Max overspends, or if that's 950 now, it will update over here as well. And here, that's your balance. You can choose how much you want to carry over to the next month. I typically pay all my balance that month, but if you wanted to carry over an amount, so say $500, your calculation for the ending balance would be using the balance due that's due this month. So if you have zero that you want to carry over, you're gonna have to pay $950 this month, and that's gonna reduce your income, your ending balance. But if you carried over only 500, you'll have more money left over at the end of the month. And thank you for watching this video. I hope you find the spreadsheet to be helpful to you in reaching your financial goals. Please comment on the video if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to answer them.